We're bringing the regular policy committee meeting to order. Today is Thursday, April 25th, 2024. The time is 3:01 p.m. And we have a quorum. We have one committee member who is not here. He has an excused absence. And we have Mr. Heinrichs, Miss Claudia, and Mr. Howell here, which does make a quorum. Chair report, just to let you know, and we can't talk about what happened or anything, but we did go to mediation yesterday. And there will be some information forthcoming. But at this point, we just believe that it went well, and we are anticipating a good outcome.
So, report from closed session.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah. I think that's about
It wasn't a board meeting.
Haley, just have a hard copy.
Yeah, they're over here.
We only had 2 board members. So really
it.
just Ted.
A little late.
A mediation session.
Voice lessons.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
prepared to send to us.
Any ad hoc committee reports? I don't think we have any ad hoc committees at this point.
Do not.
No. And then let's go to committee member communications. Does any of the committee members have anything they would like to speak to?
I just have an observation. If I didn't want to be the only guy that talked.
It'd be all right if you were.
Just an observation.
Yeah.
I was thinking about policy in general, and it occurred to me that policy actually has a double function, and we haven't really thought about this. One is directions, providing guidance to staff or to the board on certain things. But there is another use to it from the board's point of view, which is the board explaining what the underlying things are that govern its actions to the public. In other words, it would be useful, for example, for the board to have a policy which simply says what the board, in other words, it shouldn't necessarily be regarded as something that is restrictive to the board, or the staff, but because there is this communication function as well, where you can say that if the policies are, it is the policy of the board to be X or Y, it's kind of similar to the more aspirational things. But so sometimes it's useful to codify the board's positions or actions, even though there's really no need to draw a fence around it, because it does provide the public where the board can then point to say, this is our policy, guys, this is what we intend to do, or how we are governing ourselves. It's just something that occurred to me, that there is this double thing. Communication is a two-way thing, and so it is an opportunity, should the board decide to use it, to communicate some of its views to the public. In terms of it's sort of like the mission and the strategic plan and the mission statement, but it could be framed in a policy way.
Okay.
So policies shouldn't necessarily be regarded as restrictive.
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about? Because I have no
It could be
idea.
explanatory.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was trying to find out. Yeah, I can see by the look on your face. Let's look around.
Well, yeah, if there, is some sort of, I think I'm going where you're going, but I'm not exactly sure what that would look like.
Well, let's take your policy, the climate policy as an example of how it could be. As the policy could form two things. One is guidance in terms of what this is our intention,
Right.
but communicating that intention not only to the staff, but to the public.
In terms of values.
Yeah, in terms of, so we say, this is, for example, when there was one in the policy that you had where
Right.
we should consider what you made, the words, when a decision is made, the environmental effect needs to be a factor.
Okay.
considered.
Yeah, as opposed to something that's sort of on the side and comes.
Oh,
So and this is like saying, in other words, the policy could reflect what the board is actually already doing as a way of.
Is there-
communicating. I don't know.
so, well, no. Is,
I thought we were doing that already with the committees, communicating to the public
With the,
through the board.
I'm sorry, I missed the,
We were doing that already as a committee from the
oh,
public, communicating things through the policy to the board to hopefully meet all these criteria you're mentioning, I would think, and the public can read the policies to see how it affects. But if you want to put an extra sentence, is what you're asking?
well, no, I was actually, you were saying what I was saying, but in a different way, which, is that we communicate to the board as a
Right.
public,
Yeah.
how things should be. The board says, well, we like this.
yeah,
And when they do that, we have to remember, there's the rest of the public's all out there. And so it gives the board an opportunity to say, yes, this is how we want to be.
okay, so
That's all.
is that
It's
not
not
a
anything
part,
special.
is that not a part of the mission and values?
Yes.
It's like an extension of that.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about would be more specific,
Yeah,
but the mission and values is really where we would start.
I would think.
Yeah,
it's just as something to think about.
That
Policy
we
doesn't need
would,
to
that we
be
would
always just
participate on that as a policy.
no, that we should look at that and see, once again, where we might be able to expound on it.
Starting from the values and mission statement and then
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, I guess that was sort of
And
my,
how are you proposing to do this? I mean,
oh, just something in the back of the head.
He's just saying,
Yeah.
are we gonna write a letter to the CCSD?
No.
Or are we gonna, how does this function? I don't.
he's just reporting on his thoughts.
It's just a thought, with policy can be
Brainstorm.
regarded as a series of rules, which some people should follow. That's one way of looking
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
But the other way is from the people who are, for whom the rules are intended. They
That's the way I
can
always
point to
look at it.
those rules and say, these are the rules we are following, guys.
Yeah,
know, out
well,
in-
we have
Hmm.
and we do have a couple of, we have the, the strategic plan, we have the mission and the values. And the other thing that, remember that policy that we did, the conduct, about the
Oh,
conduct?
yeah,
That was another one that kind of spoke to those kind of things.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
I
it's
just thought it
good
was
things to,
exciting.
yeah, to talk about.
Oh,
It happens perhaps.
Anything else from any of the other committee?
I have
Yes.
a question. I'm still questioning about this. So,
Mm.
so that if we would like to emphasize this, should we put some kind of a note? When we submit a policy, should we submit a note with it that expresses the conduct, the mission, the values, the benefit or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, that might be a
So-
good way.
Yeah.
Are you saying that, we should try to emphasize that? Because if we don't, then they're not gonna do this. So.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
on the boards.
So, yeah, perhaps, I'm just
Couch
thinking.
them like a couch.
Well, right,
Yeah.
in other words, if a policy is something that we're putting forward, we would say that this policy points at X value or X.
Yeah.
Mission,
Mhm.
Thought about it.
Yeah,
just. As Claudia said, just sort of as an addendum to whatever policies we're submitting.
yeah.
That's possible.
Have you, have you all, taken a look at the latest, revision to the strategic plan, mission, vision, and values? I would really recommend that you do that because they've been really
Updated.
really updated, really made more comprehensive. So take a look at that. It's on the website.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
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 Anything else from the committee members?
Do you want us to comment on that or just
No,
put it
you
in
don't.
our?
Just,
Yeah. Just a thought. Okay, we do not have any public members here and we do not have any public members online. So do any of you have public comment that you'd like to speak to? No?
That's a number two here.
This really isn't CSD issue. But this business of this animal that. you know,
The dog?
Yeah, that incident is very concerning. And what does CSD have to do with it? Probably nothing.
We don't have anything. The only thing we do is leashes on the ranch.
Right, and I think the issue is gonna be, once again, I mean, it's our problem here is enforcement,
Yeah, it's the county.
it's the county.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, this business with the dog is.
There was a
Yeah.
long conversation at the CCSD about this. And people put out a lot of information, saying, we could try this, try that, and there's a man who had been involved in animal control in another town, and he made some comments, but what I said was, I don't understand why they're not doing anything, because all you have to do is call animal services, they come out and they put a notice on, they come out another time, third time, they
Yeah.
take the dog away,
Yeah.
I mean.
This dog gets apparently.
So I don't know why, somebody needs to look into the fact that the county's not doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, everybody in Park Hill is walking around with sticks.
I
now.
know. Or pepper spray or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I walked my dogs this morning and every single person I saw had a stick in there.
Wow.
That's pretty awful.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to say about the company?
No, unless you want me.
You want to talk about the follow-up for, well, whatever you want to talk about is good.
You tell me when.
Okay, I'll tell you when. Let's go to the consent agenda, and did you all have a chance to take a look at the March 28th regular meeting minutes? And if so, are there any corrections, edits, additions?
I didn't see anything. It looked good to me.
I know, I loved it. It really helps me. Gordon, anything?
Well, under public comments, Heinrichs is spelled with an S,
Oh, yeah.
Christine,
Let me correct that, but where is it?
item 2, public comments,
Two.
bottom. It's,
Oh,
It's
word,
not
yes, yeah,
critical.
I'll correct that.
this is the only one place, you had them like
Yeah, the
that.
rest of them are there.
Yeah, I was total, yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Thank you for catching that up.
I didn't see it, but sometimes you hyphenate my middle
Very
name and
small.
last name. No,
Yeah.
it's not hyphenated.
Oh, the two are not hyphenated?
No.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
But, did I
Like
do it
right
this
here.
time around?
I didn't.
Oh, here I
Right here.
did, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take the hyphen out.
Yep.
Yep.
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion
To
to
approve it as
Approve, yeah.
amended.
And I'll second it this one.
With the little corrections, yeah, to
Yeah,
accept
with
with
minor,
corrections,
minor grammatical corrections.
with noted corrections.
Yeah.
You can say it was my motion.
Yeah.
I'm changing my motion.
Oh, well, how do you want me to say it?
I said with modifications.
Okay, okay.
But you can say with minor modifications.
Oh, no, with
What do you want me to
modification,
say?
No, no, that's cool.
but as discussed, so it we reference the discussion.
As discussed.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of, never mind.
Well, no, it's your motion.
Okay.
If you don't want that, you.
No, yes, it was for both.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, any opposed? Good, motion passes.
Forgive me for a second. Who seconded the motion?
Ted,
Ed, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. We're off. Yeah.
So we might have some follow-up from this.
Okay, all right, that's good.
With what?
It says here Chair Scott agreed to talk with Chair Dean. How policy can help the online committee.
For the climate change?
Mhm.
Well, that's why we have it for B.
It's for the.
number 4A first.
Oh, well.
Yes,
Cool.
Good, good, good.
okay,
Good.
all right.
Yeah.
So, let's go to then 4A. And this is review, discussion, and consideration of the CSDA policy number 1055, legislative advocacy policy. And I did put a copy of the previous policy,
Right.
and I sent you a little bit later, a really draft that
What you would do.
that I thought it was maybe a good place to start.
That's what you said you do. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I read it and I thought it was pretty darn good.
It's real simple.
It is.
Yeah.
I have a couple of comments.
Well, good. That's what you're here for.
Okay. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. On the first page, second paragraph under 1055 purpose. I don't have glasses on. You see, although the expenditure of public funds for the purpose of supporting or opposing a ballot measure or candidate is prohibited in the, and you had it, if Karsten had expenditure of something or other funds, I say the district is allowed, not whatever you had, expenditure, or whatever it was on, I can't remember it was on there, so.
Yeah,
The district is allowed to advocate for or against proposed legislation or regulatory actions which will affect the district finances.
Okay, so the way it's written is the expenditure of public funds is allowed to advocate for. So you're saying the
You're saying
district,
the expenditure is allowed to advocate, expenditures can't advocate.
That's expenditure of public funds.
of public is allowed.
It isn't,
It doesn't matter. The district is allowed to expend, right?
well, I've had, well, you've had advocate, but
Uh,
I didn't think
Where?
that, we could change that too.
The district is allowed to expend public funds
Fund.
for, you can do that,
Yeah.
that would satisfy, would that satisfy Claudia?
Does that sound like what you are
Yeah, you can, yeah,
intending?
you can do that.
Okay.
You write that in, so the
And then I put-
district,
Yeah, which will affect the district, not expending the funds. So you put it in different places, I guess. Yeah.
so how did we
Is,
say a district
is allowed
is allowed to expend public
to
funds.
expend public funds
Expend public
and,
funds to advocate. for or
and to
against.
advocate, yeah.
Okay. And then at the end,
Okay,
regulatory actions which will affect the district finances. Because in that you read under
Okay.
issues, if you didn't take that out,
District finances.
but
Okay.
district finances.
okay,
Wasn't quite too clear of it. Says one place is prohibited and another place it is allowed.
Yeah, that was my other point,
And what
no,
I'm confused whether we
Oh,
You
this-
don't-
oh,
the only,
go
it
for
says
candidates, right?
it's not, they can't be used for the purpose of supporting or opposing a ballot measure or candidate,
Mhm.
but it is allowed to advocate for or against proposed legislation or regulatory
Mm.
action
yeah,
that will affect its finances.
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
So then on the next page for the third bullet point, this is the others issues that may impact the district. And I put perhaps add
Where are you
Oh,
talking about?
the second bullet point after 4A, the second page.
Second bullet point.
It says other issues may impact the district.
Yes,
Well, it's not really a bullet point, it's a circle. It's just-
Oh,
yes.
Oh, so these
Well, that's-
are the 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth-
Yeah, the
fifth
first
circle.
one is the following, and then the list
Okay,
is
so-
the circles.
Actually, you know what, I wrote something else here. So the CSD will rely on CSDA for notification of issues that may affect the district. Need to appoint someone from CSD district to research potential political issues, because that's the way it's written. So associates in CSDA in parentheses is right at the top of this. It's right under 4A. Maybe my sheet is different here, because I.
maybe,
There's 4A and then association.
Well, we really
Oh, I
don't,
see. I'm on the second page.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the
Oh, sorry,
person who is responsible, is the general manager.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I didn't realize that, it's all one, it's all four. Okay, so second page, we still on the second page, or you don't have?
well, that runs on from here. Legislating activity deemed of importance to California districts as identified through the California Special Districts Association website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so CSD, the CSD website.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that, so the CSD, our CSD will rely on CSDA for notification of issues that may affect the district. That's what it's written.
Yeah,
They
that's
go
one.
find someone from the CCSD district to research potential political issues. I'm saying to not just rely on them, but to hire somebody who's going to be researching political issues that we may. that may
Yeah, but we're
affect us.
not. But see that,
Right,
we're
that's
not.
the reason we're doing this.
Yeah,
So you don't want to
Because-
do that. You just.
no, we don't want to.
So do you want to rely on the CSDA to notify
That's
you?
one of the
Right.
things that we will rely on.
Before we hired a man
It
full
says,
time.
identification of legislative issues related to the district may be based on the following. All of these different things.
Based on the.
Yeah,
Okay.
So not just the CSD,
No.
in other words, right? Is that? I think I
Because
see
I,
what-
I wrote down CSDA member emails such as, and what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
we get those. We get those on. a
Oh,
regular basis.
okay, well
Yeah.
then, that's fine. And then legislative activity, which would impact the authority and services and powers of the district, and I put other issues that may impact the district.
Mhm.
Perhaps add what other issues, so you say other, what are other issues?
I don't know.
So we need to have something, we need to have at least, an example, such as. And anyway, I wrote, this section allows the district to take a position on all political issues, not just financial impacts. So that's why I need, I think
No,
it
it
needs to be
doesn't.
clarified.
It doesn't.
Well, okay.
Well, no.
When you say other issues that may impact the district, so like, it just leaves it really open so that,
Yeah, but it's a global thing. It
Yeah.
gives them, because I looked at that too, and I had some questions like you, Clay. I think that just leaves
It's
sort of a wider net.
Yeah, this
available.
is really bare bones because we don't even, this very rarely comes up, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And-
excuse me.
No, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
That's what I'm sorry. The directors actually get in their email
Yeah.
regularly
Yeah.
reports from CSDA
Yeah.
about everybody. gets it.
Legislative-
we
Yeah,
used to get that, but they don't send it to us.
Oh, no, they don't.
No, because you're not
The directors
members.
see, you guys
That's
are.
why.
Yeah.
CCSD isn't a member?
No,
No,
you
no.
aren't a member.
Oh, well, we used to all be
Yeah,
members.
but
through
they
CSD.
changed their policy.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
they changed the
don't.
policy. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, the directors will figure out if we get these legislative alerts.
In fact, one of the things that I brought up at a meeting a long time ago was that when this change is said, please forward us the information about webinars, because they
Yeah.
offer these really fantastic webinars, and
They do.
we never get notice of those.
Because you can't go.
So we're not allowed to go even though, oh,
Well, I guess you could call them and ask if you could go,
huh.
but you aren't a member.
And why don't-
CCSD is a member.
And we can't go as a member of CCSD.
You're not a member.
You're
of
in public.
Yeah,
We're a
You're a
committee.
committee.
We're advisory.
Public,
Yeah.
but we're not, you're not the elected directors.
if I were you and you really thought that that's something you wanted to do, I would directly call CSDA and say, this is what I would like to do. Is there a way for me to do that? Well,
It's not a bad idea.
Okay.
yeah,
Actually, yeah.
They say, sure, if you pay us $100 a month.
at
we can
least.
have-
Yeah,
There is a cost. I think
there
that's
is a
right.
cost, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So what about 1055.2?
Okay, so.
I still had one comment maybe on,
Okay.
First paragraph.
Okay.
since Claudia went through it already, started with the second paragraph.
Okay,
Says the direction of the district staff with regard to monitoring important legislative activity,
where?
at the bottom of the first paragraph. Last 2 words, 3 words, important. First paragraph,
This policy,
1055 purpose.
this
Oh,
policy
it's
provides
this-
the CCSD general. Oh, sorry. Okay, where?
First
I think
paragraph.
this is all
page
one
1.
sentence.
Oh, are you at the top there, Gordon, the
Well,
purpose?
right.
paragraph?
The
Okay,
last couple of words, important legislative activity,
yeah,
and the word important define some degree of importance. And how do we know what importance is appropriate for particular legislature by somebody? CSDA says it's good to do monitoring something, or
yeah. If we get information that we believe has,
general manager says, well, this looks like it might be important.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But it's not defined is what I was trying to determine.
Oh, what-
What's
Well-
important to me may not be important to somebody else.
I think what it means is to be left, kind of, like you, was it global? Somebody said global, is we have to decide, we don't know all the things that might be important to, CCSD.
How about,
That's where Claudia was getting with other issues that may impacted this.
Right.
how about?
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
how about monitoring
Yeah,
legislative activity that might be.
Yeah, right.
Might be of concern to CSD. Would that work, Gordon?
Well, this is,
I would say might impact,
Might
because,
impact-
yeah,
impact is
right,
good, yeah.
right.
Monitoring
That word
legislative-
kept coming into my head too.
legislative activity that may impact.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
That may, okay.
that
so-
gives you one defined thing, it's
yeah,
gonna affect
yeah,
something we're doing, I guess.
yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right.
It's impact,
Then
CCSD,
may not might, right?
CCSD,
that
right?
what?
May not might.
May.
That may
May,
impact
may,
CCSD.
the district. I put the district.
Impact the district.
yeah, that does help, yeah, I think it helps.
He said, I was trying to find,
Oh, good.
somebody's making a, it's gonna affect us as well, it's important,
Sure.
maybe another town it might be important to, but
Yeah, yeah.
So do we strike the word important? No, that's,
Yeah.
you do, okay.
Anything more in, 1055.1? Or purpose?
Flexibility.
We go to 1055.2?
I like it. I think that it doesn't necessarily prevent other directors, like all you need is three to suddenly make a
Yeah.
motion to do something.
Yeah,
But it does at least say, okay, there's this.
yeah,
you'd say impact
Yeah,
material.
so not just leaving it up to chance. I
Right.
guess, yeah.
and if the general manager or the board president or vice president, if they think that this is something that the board needs to consider, then it gets put on on an agenda, because
Yeah.
agenda review
Yeah.
meeting does that.
I'm not finding anything objectionable in here myself, but perhaps others would like to comment.
Sure.
Well, I like it because it doesn't take anything away from the board. It's just saying, that would disturb me with the CSDA policy is you had a little independent unit which
Yeah.
is out there doing stuff that
Yeah.
would require board action.
Yeah.
So I think this is better for us, I think.
Anyone else?
Do you know
have anything
of
to
when
say?
there ever was an issue that came to the attention of CCSD
Anything to say?
that would impact us?
That's what we're gonna,
Legislative, perceptive.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure it out here.
There's a bill that's going through.
Yep.
I have to pull it up, but the CSD reached out to us and we all signed a letter, to send a message. It's had to do with affecting,
How much money?
funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funding issue.
Oh,
I don't know, it's escaping me, but it's in my 2,000 emails somewhere stuffed in a folder, but yeah.
Only 2,000?
Huh?
Only 2,000?
In one folder.
Okay, all right, I'm with you now.
Split 7 folders.
I'm with you now.
Yes.
I'll see if I can look it up.
Don't worry.
It's okay.
Had a comment about board may utilize this body or assign an ad hoc committee.
Yes.
I'm assuming they may want to keep that in the board, or could they transfer that to a policy committee for support?
I think it's up to the board.
I didn't say that whoever ad hoc it is, but
Yeah.
the way it's written, it sounds like a board ad hoc.
Yeah.
committee.
Well, we have ad hoc committees that are board members. That are made up of board members. We also have ad hoc committees that the board, there may be one board member and a public member. But the board is the one who assigns those. And that gives that ad hoc committee clout.
You understand if they wanted to share the wealth, we can
Yeah,
participate then.
yeah.
Okay, it's,
Or they could assign it to a committee and the committee could do it ad hoc. The board, it just gives the board the,
right, well, it's what it
The
says,
direct-
an ad hoc is a good choice,
yes,
but usually
Yeah.
envision that usually just two members of the board in most cases. You
Some
know,
cases, yeah,
how-
yeah, it's about half and
Could,
half.
could be the finance.
1935.
Okay.
Limits ability of voters and state and local governments in regards to an initiative that would allow communities to retroactively lose funding.
Ouch,
It's a very long initiative,
ouch.
but I can send you a link.
Okay.
So that's a-
It was sent in the GM letter too.
Huh?
It was sent in the GM.
Oh.
letter.
That's what I remember from the GM letter.
That's the thing.
Mr. Matthew, as an aside. Bird.
Bird?
Yeah, there's birds flying around this.
There it is.
In there,
Inside?
I think, yeah. I think
Ooh,
it's all
or
the way.
bats.
No, it's not bad. It's a bird. I heard wings fly around. So somewhere or other, there's,
Dear, I hope
you're
it's-
just listening
Well,
to.
we do have a pet bat that comes out.
Oh, is it a bat?
Just kidding.
Oh.
But yeah,
Anyway,
there, I think there's some access that birds get.
yeah, if you listen, you'll
The
hear
district
it.
bats.
Just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track here.
Well,
but
if it's bad inside, they probably won't let him out.
I
Yeah, don't let
I
him
don't-
out.
Oh, no, I mean, whatever it is, just needs to be.
He won't.
Okay, anything else
Okay.
under 1055.2 that needs to be changed?
Let's see.
Um,
Board meeting?
can I make a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Wait a minute, can you make the motion?
My motion is,
The motion, it says
Are we, is it, does it,
discussion and, no,
Have we-
review
I don't
discussion
wanna
and,
make a-
and consideration.
so it is consideration?
Yes.
I think that what should be done with this at this point is it should be given to the board. And the board would look at it and say, one, do we even want this?
Yeah.
And two, what response they have
To what?
to this, to what's in there.
Yeah.
And then come back to us and say, you know, right now we don't need to worry about it, or let's put it in there just to have it in there because it might be useful for maybe not this board, but maybe the next board
Okay,
or the next board. Is that something that the board could consider at this point? Because I think I do think this is good enough bare bones.
Yeah.
It's not, everything's got bare bones. I
Yeah.
think it's actually pretty comprehensive.
okay,
Let's see what the board has to say
okay.
about this. So my motion is,
Can I make one comment before you do that?
Yeah.
Just thought something was missing here, what I had concerns about originally was the board is able to take action on important items that they deem necessary, and they form an ad hoc committee. Then what action would be taken if somebody wanted to get a lobbyist?
That would be a whole nother
That's,
issue.
that's my point. Is that a whole nother issue?
Yeah,
Or,
it's a whole
because
nother
that was
issue.
a different,
Would be adding an FTE and it would,
no, that's what I'm
it
saying.
would be the budget and all that.
Because it says there is a budget to spend money. I don't know who we're gonna give the money to, I guess.
Where?
So expenditure of funds for purpose of supporting opposing fellow members is allowed against proposed legislation action for the district and spending the funds. So we're spending money someplace.
Well, it would be like,
No.
well, if like, if the board asked Matt to do something, we're paying Matt.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hopefully not more money than he's getting now.
right, but what the board can't do is tell
That's
Matt.
on next month's agenda.
The board could
Good
ask
thing.
Haley, for example, to go,
No, that's why I'm just
Yeah.
asking, because that's
Yeah.
what a lobbyist is. We paid one
yeah,
$1,000 or something a month or
Yes,
two.
we
and-
did.
And he ran up and
And if that,
said
that-
expenditures of meetings.
and if that comes up, then that would be a whole different issue.
So that's,
And then this policy would have to be updated.
that's well, legislative advocate policy, isn't that a
Where are you?
the title? Advocacy, somebody's trying to go do something to achieve.
No, it's the board who is gonna either advocate or not. It's not a,
Yeah, but they're gonna be spending money on something, that's why I'm not quite
they
sure.
may or they may not.
No, it's trust, that's why I'm trying to make it a policy. It needs to be some control over if somebody wants to decide to hire Joe Blow and go up there for the weekend and
Like I
Yeah.
said, that's a completely different subject.
Now, that would be a board action, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
no, that's what I'm
just-
saying. Well, it says that they can spend money on doing this. And what I'm asking is, they could spend $10,000 a day or a month,
Where
or,
does it say they can spend money doing this?
oh, you can't use the funds for the candidate and stuff. Funds is allowed to advocate for or against proposed legislation or regulatory action which will affect the district spending.
Like
That's
travel, like, you know,
Right,
sending
sending-
Matthew to
sending
Sacramento.
Sacramento,
Yeah.
for example.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just talking about the
Yeah.
one guy is gonna
it-
be the leader of it.
There is not gonna be one unless the board decides to
doesn't
do
say
that,
that.
and then it would be done in a public meeting.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at here is no, we can't support candidates, but we can advocate for or against proposed legislation.
Right, so we want to go somebody to go down there and spend a week.
But that-
No, we don't.
But that would never happen. That would never happen.
I
was doing that, that's why I'm like-
actually.
Because it isn't clear in this policy, that's what.
Well,
we're
we
trying
don't,
to say.
it doesn't need to be
You could-
because that's a completely separate issue.
And,
Is there-
No, but it
and-
says that you're gonna spend money and you don't
Let's-
explain how you're gonna spend the money or how much, so.
let's
Second paragraph.
let's add
And
a
55.
little bit to that. Any
Oh.
expenditures for such activity would need to be authorized by the board or something like that. I don't.
No, no,
Also-
that,
That's a budget adjustment.
it's a
anyway, it
budget,
always
well,
is.
and not only that, but there are certain, our budget policy, we have a new budget policy.
Correct.
Yes, so that would outline how that would happen.
Okay,
Then maybe you
so,
can say, look at the budget policy regarding this.
It doesn't, it really doesn't.
okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's just,
Well,
it's,
look, again, I think,
Yeah.
again,
this is
with my motion here,
yes,
I'm sure anyone on the board will pick up, we're talking about money, how does that deal with this thing? So I'm feeling confident that this would not pass underneath any of the directors' noses without
you're right.
some
Okay,
mention of the money and of course, we're just submitting a draft.
Well, the first part would be, is there something out there that is going to
Right.
impact us?
Right.
And if there is, notice it says that
further
there will be a
actions.
plan. Right?
Yeah, it's a second bullet point in Fund 55.2.
Yeah.
If further action is indicated.
Yeah. Discussion and direction
Yeah,
by the
this
board.
body will, yeah, agendize like,
So it kind of covers that.
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, I mean, that does somewhat address, does that address what you're concerned?
what I'm suggesting is, if for some reason there was something that needed to be checked into by a one person.
Yeah.
Lawyer or whatever who went up there.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think you have to be a lawyer, to be a lobbyist stuff.
it would be him.
Because anybody can be a lobbyist, I've gathered.
True.
I've talked to a lobbyist, he said, that is the best job he's had in the world, is he didn't have to do anything except collect money. He
Which
goes up-
is why we
Right.
don't have a lobbyist, right?
Right,
Right.
that was my question, how would we get a lobbyist if somebody thought we would need one?
We'd have to add an extra FTE, we'd have to do a contract,
mean,
if we
that-
did it by contract, that would go before the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Is
separate
that what we
from,
did last time? Because I don't remember
I
the
have-
I
process.
don't remember how that.
They all said that was money.
They didn't ask.
Behind closed doors, you know, that's what I'm
I
thinking.
do have a question.
no, it wasn't behind closed
Well, it
doors.
was decided they need to do that and then it comes out and down.
Well, then the contract would come before the board,
Well,
and that's in,
And they have to vote on it.
The old board.
yeah,
This is-
Yeah, that's-
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't,
yeah,
the old board comes and goes. That's all
I can't go.
Can I ask a question?
That's all, I just-
This is, board.
That's what I was
but,
According to what we're saying here is apparently, the district really is prohibited from supporting a candidate.
right,
Now, opposing a ballot measure. It would be not only opposing, but supporting a ballot measure. But would that include, that would be an initiative.
it says supporting or opposing.
Oh, I missed that
the-
part.
Yeah,
So does the ballot measure, it basically means that if there's an initiative. That Now that disturbs me because what Matt was just discussing was an initiative.
Is it an initiative? It's really legislation.
It is legislation.
Yes,
So.
but I don't know if that's what an initiative is.
Yeah. Oh, that's, sometimes the legislature will pass something and put it as an initiative.
Mm.
And sometimes an initiative comes from the public going the other way.
Yeah,
Um,
our candidates prohibited, the district is.
I'm wondering about that, you know.
Yeah, this is,
Validation.
it just speaks to proposed legislation or regulatory actions.
Yeah,
A ballot measure is not legislation. A ballot measure is like a bond.
yeah,
that kind of
okay.
Yeah. So we don't, because that's about money.
Okay, so an initiative would be a legislation.
Well,
The initiative for the last time I talked about is eligible for the 2024 statewide ballot and seeks to revise the Constitution in a manner that would retroactively
Yeah.
invalidate billions of dollars in funding for essential services approved by voters and locally elected boards over the past 3 years.
but the word initiative is not in. there.
No, I was just curious
Yeah.
to see what was.
But legislation or regulatory actions, an initiative would be a regulatory action. So like that, if we decided to spend money with that, this policy would allow that to go through this process.
That was the intent.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to decide to use a lobbyist, that would come at the end of this. You want to spend money on a lobbyist.
Then it would come before the board in a public meeting if they wanted to hire a lobbyist. Yes. And then you would have all the chance in the world to come up and say, hell no.
Oh, there would be plenty.
Oh, I know.
There would be.
Yeah.
Well, I would vote no, no matter what.
No, that's my point. I've been trying to
Yeah,
say is
it
that last
doesn't,
time I don't think it worked out too well with the board. Because they wanted to have one.
Well-
You know what I'm saying? It's the boards that make these decisions as we change them every 4 years.
Yeah.
It goes 3-2, 4-0, or 5-0.
yeah,
4-1, and pretty soon the public is not necessarily guiding all the action. Not that it may be necessary.
Do we need a policy on hiring,
no.
A
like
lobbyist.
a lobbyist?
That's what I'm saying. Is there something else I'm missing that
Well,
we have to go
do
through
one,
this?
but I very much doubt it would be accepted.
What was before?
No,
Well,
no policy. Doesn't say.
If we wanted to hire a lobbyist, it would be a contract probably.
Right, it was.
And that would come before the board and the board would have to make that decision. And then if there was a policy that said, no, you can't hire a lobbyist. I mean, we're not gonna make that kind of a policy because the board has to make that decision.
Mhm. Well, that's what I'm saying. It says that they can hire if they want to.
No, it doesn't say that,
It says they can spend funds on.
Oh, I see.
right?
Doing
It
that.
doesn't say they can, they can hire
They
them
can
if
do
they
an ad
want.
hoc committee.
They can do an ad hoc committee, yeah.
Right. If they want to hire Joe Blow to go
No,
up there, it doesn't say can.
are you doing this to just
No.
needle me?
No,
Because the
I'm
bottom
trying
line
to-
is, like I said, and I already said this, if they want a contract with a lobbyist, that contract would come before the board.
I know, I'm trying to eliminate that.
Well,
There's no way
You
you could,
can't.
you know.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have.
Yeah,
Well,
So I don't
but-
want to go through that again.
I
well,
think the problem
was
is
every
that
time we met,
it's-
every
It's an elimination
meeting.
of that.
He'd give a
I think we need
report
to
and
add
wouldn't
it
say
in there.
anything.
That's what he's saying.
no, we
It's like
can't
need to-
eliminate
need to
that.
Make a note about
No,
lobbyists.
if
or
the
something
board,
like that.
if the board wants to
That's a
hire a
big issue.
lobbyist and
If-
contract
do
with
so.
them, they're gonna do it.
They
This
can
is
do
not
something.
about, this is
Yeah,
not
well, that's what I
about,
was trying to get to. That's my point.
but you can't prevent it, Gordon.
That's why I'm trying to write a
Okay, wait,
policy.
wait.
Stop.
Yeah. This
That's
does
fine.
not address lobbyists. If there is going to be one, it would be a contract and it would come
Yeah.
before the board. And you could come in and stomp your feet and say, don't do this. And Claudia would come and say, don't do it, and Ted probably would
Yeah.
come.
Something I felt.
And I know Don would come,
It's a-
but that's not part of what we're doing here.
I'm just wondering if the source of this discussion is the reference to funds.
That's my concern.
And I
Well-
think we could, we could say the same thing without using that terminology. Would that help you?
Well, that's
Suppose
what I'm
that
saying.
the
It doesn't say
CCSD
there's no limit. It's just-
Well, I suppose you do it this way. The CCSD is prohibited from, the statute, you say by statute, is prohibited from supporting or opposing a ballot measure or a candidate.
They are.
And, you know, just
Yeah.
the CCSD is
No, the
prohibited,
candidate's
which is
not a
true.
lobbyist, is it?
Well,
Well,
no,
does
no,
that
we
say
haven't
that?
gotten to there yet. So
No.
the CCSD, instead of using the expenditure of public funds, which is really what it is,
Right.
Correct.
but just saying the CCSD is not allowed to do that. However, it is allowed to advocate for or against,
Mhm.
you know, and just not reference funds at all. Would that clarify for you what the intent of this policy is?
I don't think so,
Okay.
because,
Have to spend money.
because this is, because there needs to be a provision that if money needs to be spent,
Hmm.
that it needs to be spent. But again,
That's
if
my
they're
point.
gonna hire a lobbyist, it's a contract and it would come before the board and you would have an opportunity to speak against it.
Well, the word to advocate, or what does that mean?
Advocate for or
What does
against?
that mean?
Advocate
What
is-
how do you advocate is what I guess my word
Oh,
is.
you can write a
Letters,
letter.
Yeah.
we, individual board
Sending
members can
somebody up
call
there.
them. Huh?
Sending somebody up there.
Well, that's only one.
If
process.
general
No,
manager
I'm
needs
just,
to go.
right. I'm trying to put a hole in that.
That's not gonna happen.
So what you want to say, if.
I'm trying to
we
get
should
that
have a
word.
policy that says the board shall not
Hire a lobbyist.
hire anyone or pay anyone to do X or Y. Is that? what-
Sort
I
of
think
right.
that would be-
Yeah, but,
Um,
yeah, no.
We can try it.
That's what I'm
No.
trying to
They
get
won't
at.
fly it, I said.
No, that's.
But you're saying they're not gonna do it, so why not put it in there? You say, oh, they're not gonna have.
Why would you want to put it in a policy when it's not something that the board would do anyway? Because it has to
You wanna
be,
make sure that.
They did it.
well, you can't.
Hmm.
And I guess maybe, you know, the
That's why I have
philosophical,
trouble with this one.
well, the philosophical discussion here is, does the policy committee have the authority to tell the board what to do and what not to
We
do?
should recommend,
Exactly.
right. I don't
So-
disagree with that,
Okay,
but
recommend,
we
but
need to have something to have them disagree
if
with.
you have a policy that says the board
Right.
shall not hire a lobbyist, it's never gonna be approved. Because it's not our job to tell the board to do that. Or not. It's not our job.
Or even look at it another way, even if it were our
Yeah.
job, no board member is going to vote to decrease the amount of influence that they have. It's just not gonna happen.
I have a
Sure.
point. Maybe, if I wrote down the district, on
Yeah.
this paragraph, but
Which
what it
paragraph?
says is the one we're talking about,
Yeah,
those expenditure of public funds
Okay.
for the purpose, et cetera. And I wrote that instead of whatever, we switched it around. It says the district is allowed, is allowed to advocate. So it's saying the district can do it. It doesn't say the lobbyist can do it. It says the district can do it. So
Right.
maybe we just need to
Define
emphasize
district.
that the district itself can do this, but not hire somebody
Outside
else to do
contractor.
outside to do it. So,
Well, but we're not gonna put, but the district can't hire somebody.
I didn't say that, but I'm just
Oh.
saying that if we
Yeah.
emphasize that the district only is allowed to advocate, then you do exclude other people by just putting in only.
I don't wanna,
I don't think it-
just one moment. I don't wanna tie the hands of the board.
They could take
If-
the word out, you know. So,
I know, but I want it to make sense to them.
oh,
Well, I'm trying to make sense to me that I don't want.
Ed, did you have something? Did you wanna make a motion?
I was waiting for this motion.
I am going to make this motion.
Good.
I move that we submit this draft policy to the board and that the board pays particular attention to the issue of funding. And if they like this proposal, or they want further work from the policy committee, that they would give us direction on how we would word issues associated with any expenditures
Yeah.
arising from this.
Give us direction.
Wow.
They're gonna do that.
I'm sure they are gonna. do
They
that.
are
I
gonna
mean,
do
once
that.
you start, once you put the word funds, in,
Yeah,
I can't imagine a single director looking at that and going,
yeah.
all right, what are we talking about?
Well, but the other thing is that you're saying is they may say, we don't even need this.
They may not,
Yeah.
yeah, in which
So-
case,
Why not?
let's not spin our wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go ahead. Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
The motion is hugely long, so
No,
Um,
basically it's submit the draft policy to the board for consideration.
yes,
that was what I was gonna
That's
ask,
fine.
all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So submit or recommend?
And recommend, submit and recommend.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try that
Recommend.
again. I would say, you're agreeable to that?
I am absolutely agreeable to
Okay,
that. I knew I
submit.
was waxing on,
And recommend
which I have been known to do.
Oh, it's good.
the
It's
draft
good,
policy 1055
right?
to the board for consideration.
Mhm.
And then when,
And
And recommend approval.
and recommend approval, consideration.
If it passed, if we
and
vote in
recommend.
favor.
And may I offer a suggestion?
or return
I
to
think
us.
this is cool. I'd also like to second this motion.
Okay,
So wait, Ted and Don,
okay,
and when the motion is, when this is presented,
Mhm.
it might be nice to invite the board, because really what I think the part of the motion that didn't get into it is Ted saying, hey, guys, if you
need
don't
this.
like this,
yeah,
send it back to us with comments. Let's
Yeah.
do an iterative process.
Right,
yeah,
right.
and I will
I think that's-
definitely say that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
And we still haven't dealt with the lobbyist problem, but
well,
that's a different problem.
yes,
well,
all those in favor,
1, 2. Okay. two.
All those-
You got to
oh,
vote. You
I
get to
get to
vote if
vote.
it's a tie.
okay,
Well, isn't it a
well,
tie? You
maybe,
have to call it.
okay,
In
all those
favor.
opposed,
2, okay,
Okay.
I need to write this down, so.
and I'm voting in
nays
favor.
Are Gordon and Claudia. And
And I'll let them know
ayes
that
are-
too.
Yeah,
It's just not worded.
Robert rules just require that.
Well, we're
we,
gonna get- we're gonna
the
get
dissenters are all.
He might,
stay.
may not.
Yes.
My
Necessarily,
point,
but you do need to indicate.
Boards are-
Yes.
they don't want us here anyway, so it's
Yeah.
a challenge.
And.
What?
Oh, nothing.
Who's our own head? Okay. So motion passes 3-2.
Yes. Hey,
That's the first time the chairman has had to ever vote
I
in
know.
the history of this committee.
Oh, really? Oh,
Because
wow.
Because we don't have a full
there
quorum.
never was a, it was never a tie before.
Okay, so let's go then. Oh, do we have any public comment?
Oh, yeah, no.
No, we do not.
Okay, I'll go call for some comments.
So let's go to 4B on the agenda. That's discussion and update on the climate change policy. And the reason that this is here, number one, let me tell you that when I sat down and talked with Karen,
Oh, yeah.
she said she really liked this policy.
Mhm.
And we are going to need this kind of a policy going forward. Right now, what the R&I committee is actually doing is looking at what do we need to set up to be able to go for grants, because there are a lot of money, there's a lot of money in this situation. So they are almost done with what they need to do as far as a plan, which is not a policy,
No,
but it's a
no,
plan.
Yeah. plan is
And
not-
once we get their plan, then we can tweak this policy
Okay.
to meet that plan's intent. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah.
once R&I completes plan,
Yes,
And Matt, just as an aside, when you do get money to create this emergency center here, you're really gonna wanna think about battery storage. Because, you know, if we have a major fire, we're gonna lose electric power. It's just gonna take these poles down like nothing. So, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
you're gonna wanna be thinking about that.
There's several things. We don't have a commercial kitchen,
Yeah, right,
solar, battery,
yeah,
electrical outlets.
yeah,
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
yeah, that's, not just as a side, that's my problem with this offshore wind thing there. They wanna throw money at the wrong thing.
Right.
The issue is transmission and storage, not generation.
Yeah.
There's over 2,000 gigawatts of passive power that's being passed up because the grid can't.
I agree.
But I did want to let you know, definitely know that, Karen really, she thought this was a good policy.
Good. Well, that's.
So we're going to expect, like, Laura and I, and I'm just trying to get clarity.
Yes.
Then at
Yeah,
that
when they-
point, we will.
We will look at the policy, and the plan, and we'll figure out, does this policy then meet the intent of the plan? And then we can add our policy to the policy,
Makes good,
Manual.
makes good sense.
okay?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this?
Oh,
No.
no.
Okay. Let's go to 4C then.
I didn't quite get what you're gonna do with this. You said.
I just gave you an update, and we're not gonna do anything with it right now. What we're doing is we're waiting. The intent was for me to,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
the direction was
Yeah.
for me to meet with Karen. I did.
Yeah,
Oh,
And what she said was, that they're almost ready with the plan, and that she had reviewed our policy and she really liked what was in the policy.
good.
And then once they have the plan done, because that plan is a requirement for them to get, grant money.
Right, right, right.
she has a climate plan or what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
It is.
climate change plan.
Yeah,
or-
it's, it's,
It's a
yeah,
plus.
yeah, that's right. And it's coming down all the way,
She's finance
top.
committee or the?
No, R and I.
Or not?
all the way from the top. Okay, good.
Cool.
And,
That's
Oh,
positive.
she's former.
she's the chair of
He
R
is
and
the
I.
chair of R and I.
Is she the president of? Oh, no,
Quite
that's
some-
not.
Not any- Yeah. So, Mr. McElhaney, will you, speak to, yes, will you speak to some of the things that the district is already doing as far as climate change is concerned?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about today, various different things from EV charging stations. We're working with Air Pollution Control Board on another grant for EV charging stations down at the water plant,
Mhm.
EV trucks eventually.
Mhm.
Lighting, so we've done a lot of LED lights, and then the vets hall, that's kind of the next thing is doing LED lighting in the vets hall, because that's extremely expensive.
Yeah. great.
Paper, we're digitizing a lot of our documents and admin, so with less paper. Oh, what else did we talk about today?
Mhm. Waste disposal? Have we considered that at all? or is it-
You said waste disposal.
Well, I mean, just, in terms of how you're recycling your waste.
Yeah, I mean, every department has recycling bins and things of that nature.
That's what I assume.
They took a ton of notes today. The water and wastewater had several different things as it applies to, the AMI, water meters, flumes, all of that is, conservation methods.
Mhm.
Talking about manhole covers.
Yeah, I saw that. That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
I thought we replaced all the manhole covers.
Well, they just did 10.
Yeah, we're in the process.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
They're ridiculous things.
They did a whole bunch of them a while back before you came.
They did.
Street.
Yeah, the ones that were super bad.
This week.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
But they're-
couple down my area.
Yeah.
They must not have done a lot.
But we did a lot of talking today about it, for myself on the grant side, as far as our climate resiliency position. We are submitting for a grant to hire a consultant that will do evacuation route planning, hardening, feasibility study on all the different evacuation issues we have here in Cambria. And so we're hoping with that consultant, we can kind of harden our evacuation route issues. And perhaps with that data, you can build that onto another grant, potentially for construction, road improvements, road widening. So baby steps on that one. Yeah. I'm sure there's gonna be more coming out in that document,
Have you?
but they're
gone-
working on that policy.
Oh, you've been to the NCAC meeting, right? So you know that they're working on street stuff, a bunch of proposals for street, like sidewalks and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's been ongoing. And I know in my, I did a walk of my district, with the NCAC and identified, a whole bunch of areas that we better get to fixing pretty soon, or they're gonna have nothing left.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas.
I have a couple of things that I would like you to take into consideration because Beautify Cambria, a Dark Sky Initiative is working on, we have been working for 9 years on becoming a dark sky community. I did write we wrote a lighting policy and it was rejected. It's only 1 page. It's
It was rejected by who?
the CCSD.
Oh,
Yes.
So, one,
Yeah.
I would like to bring that back. It could be a separate policy from this policy, or you can put it together. The other thing is that you talked about adding more LED lights to the vets hall. Right now, we need to fix some problems because they're actually more dangerous than you think. Lighting because most people put a lot of lights out because they think that it stops the criminals or stops the homeless people or whatever, but having lights shine straight into the highway, like the one behind the building here, is really dangerous, because if you look that way, like for me, I have cataracts, so it is blinding me. And it doesn't do anything to protect the area from homeless people or vandals or anything like that. The lights need to shine towards the ground. They should never put up a wall pack like that. Those things are they just blast light out into the sky, out, up, down, everywhere. So if you have lighting, I can show you a picture of this. If you have a light that is blasting out light like that, it actually hides the bad guys. And if you shade that, like on a lampshade, if you shade that and have the light shining properly, then you can see the bad guys. And I have a picture that compares those two things. So if you want to see that, again, I can show it to you. But so my point is that if you're going to add lights to the vets hall, which I don't think you need to add any lights, I think you need to fix the lights that are here.
Yeah.
When Carlos was here, he did fix some of the lights on this side. He made them more yellow and he did shield them, but there's still lights on the other side and the back that are just huge, whatever problems. So, anyway, so that's that. And another one is that you have an EV charger out front, but you have an EV charger, but I think you need to stripe it so that it's,
it's coming.
They're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
paint it. Yes.
okay, I guess
Being
good.
striped next Tuesday.
Yeah, next
Pardon?
Tuesday.
It's being striped next Tuesday.
Oh, next Tuesday, okay, so because I started to pull in and I wasn't sure where that thing was, and so that was that. And then, one other kind of a personal thing, but it's a CCSD issue, and that is that, the CCSD owns the trash cans that are in town. The ones that they're metal, they're steel, and they have wood clad around them, and they're really looking pretty shabby. And Beautify Cameras kind of has taken over that and keeping them up. But the wood has gotten really mottled. It just looks horrible. They look really old and shoddy. And it's unfortunately it's the wood. So,
Do they need to be painted?
well, let me finish. So, I did talk to, David Aguirre, and he did agree, to, we want to sand them and we want to stain them like ebony, like dark. And hopefully this will stop them from getting, model like this again. But he wanted a map and he wanted, specifics of where these trippers are and which ones we wanted in what order. And I sent something to him, I think it was over the weekend. I have not heard back from him. So if we can put a little bug in his ear and say, hey, let's kind of work on this, because we need to change out flowers. Now we do that, and we pay for it because we get sponsors. And this is something we do for the CCSD because the CCSD owns those trippers. So it's a collaboration. And David did talk to Carlos about doing the work on the street because apparently the warehouse is, they're not unable to put them in the warehouse because it's still damaged from the floods.
Oh.
And so Carlos said, just get a generator. It's gonna be kind of noisy, but get a generator, you can sand them in situ, and then stain them. But we're in the process of needing desperately to change out some of the plants in there. So we'd like it if we could have him do a couple of them. One of them is Gordon and Christine Heinrichs, which is in front of what used to be the B of A kiosk, and the other one's at JBJ's Pizza. So those are full sponsors and they have requested, and it's, well, anyway, I've requested, they've requested. So I'd like to get this going. So and this is, this has to do with climate and with, because it has to do with disposal of trash, so, and that is important, it's trash and recycling. And the way we got these to begin with is because we sent, CCSD did with, we collaborated and we got this, I think it's a $63,000 grant to buy these. And that was because they had a large recycling side to it. So, and then one other thing, so that's about the trippers. And so if you could help us out a little bit with that.
So I'll just say that we'll put it on our radar, but it's in terms of priority as we head into the summer months, David and his crews are about as full throttle as they can get. So in terms of the hierarchy of when we can get to that, it's going to be on the back end, but we'll definitely put it on his radar. When you text him over the weekend, he's gone because Dave doesn't work the weekends and he's on vacation this week. So that's probably why he hasn't got back to you.
Oh, okay.
But it would be, if there's any community volunteer groups or anybody that's interested in.
We
working on that.
have 5 people to take care of those trippers. We don't have any more people to volunteer.
So-
They needed CCSD to do their job. They have not done it in a long, long time.
Right.
We actually got a grant the last time we cleaned them up and pulled them off the street and put them in the warehouse. And we paid our own people to do this.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just
So-
saying, in the laundry list of things that we are underfunded for in facilities and resources,
yeah.
those trash cans are on the lower end, but we'll definitely keep it on our radar.
Well, actually, David said that he would do them. So maybe he was told he couldn't do them or something like
I'm
that.
saying, in the hierarchy, but I'm sure David said he could do them, but he also has 37 other dues on his list that, when it comes to weed abatement, fire breaks, those types of things. So there's just a hierarchy in what he can and can't do in terms of.
Okay, so if I know that he's not gonna do it until the end of this year, that's a shame because they look pretty awful for the tourists that are coming in this late season. But that means that we'll go ahead and we will plant them, knowing that he's not gonna clean them up until, I don't know, whenever.
Well, like I said, I'll get with David. We'll take a look at that list.
Okay,
But, I'm trying to be full disclosure.
well, if
that
you could
When
do
it
some
comes
of
to
the
the
ones.
fire
that
break
were,
on
you know,
Kissimmee Ranch or the sanding of
Yeah,
the trash cans,
How about,
I'm going ranch.
yeah, I'm just wondering, cause sanding, repainting, all that is pretty labor intensive. Is there, I'm just throwing this out, is there a possibility of, covering them with materials that, that could be affixed to the outside as it exists that would, solve the problem of how well it looks and be a lot easier and quicker to do and
To
maybe.
maintain.
Well,
And to
we-
maintain.
And to maintain long run, I don't know how long these have been out there, but if you put, some kind of,
Laminated, laminated.
a laminated material on the
Or some
outside.
kind of deck.
I think people would be
Decking.
horrified if we laminated them. They're not happy with us when we suggested doing an ebony.
Yeah, I don't
They
think.
would never know. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the laminates these
Yeah,
days
whatever
are
you
People
so
in town take pictures
incredibly
with our
good.
trash cans. I mean, it's like.
I mean, they're really incredibly good.
Yeah.
It's hard, to tell the difference
When it can
between
be done, and then you have. to
laminate
schedule
and
it.
real wood these days.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and do that, and then
Yeah, they look
we'll go
good.
for it. Okay, so then I have one other thing, that's had to do with climate change, and he mentioned it, the air quality. There is a monitor, there's a map, and there are monitors, I think there's 4, I think. There's one at the library, there's one, I think, on CSD property, and there's 2 in a residential neighborhood over like near Marlboro or something like that. So you can look at the map, with the air quality pollution board, whatever and you can see where they are. And, the thing is that we do have air pollution here. And when the Christmas market, for instance, brings 3,000 people here a night, that adds to the air pollution. And these are things that, we should just be doing for the health of our community. And the CCSD doesn't own, the air, But, you know, whatever we can do, that we can help with the situation. I don't know, maybe get people to come in on buses rather than cars or something like that. And then I heard that somebody hired buses. They're gonna be bringing buses for the Scarecrow Festival and having them go on scarecrow cruises or something. So it had diesel engines, slowly idling
Yeah.
down the street, spewing stuff and making people crazy. So so what I'm saying is that I think that it's really important that the CCSD, since I think one of these air pollution things, and you're talking about adding more, I think it's important for us to see what happens because nobody's monitored that to see if it changes when we have Scarecrow Festival or the Christmas Festival, or we have whatever it is that brings, or the Pine Dorado, for instance. And that is on this property here. So I think that would be beneficial, so for our town.
I'm just gonna shoot this out there for your consideration, Claudia, and maybe this is something to be interested in. But for many years, when I was teaching art up in San Jose, the Downtown Association had a program called Downtown Doors. And it actually expanded beyond doors. I had lots and lots of kids whose artwork was put up on these exterior doors that were just, exterior doors. It was quite an extensive thing, but we also expanded it at a certain point to include utility boxes.
Oh,
So I don't know, maybe that's, a consideration for a community type activity for the kids or for our students or for people to do some artwork that might go on them.
One of the issues that I have, it's because I'm an artist, I don't know. One of the issues that I have is that I think that the things that we put out on our streets should be juried. I think that scarecrows,
Oh, these were jury.
murals,
These were jury.
anything that we put out there needs to be juried.
Oh, yeah.
To just have
Yeah.
kids get out there and do,
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that. I'm not
Okay.
suggesting that at all.
So
No,
that-
no.
Beautify Cambria wouldn't be very much in favor of just.
Trust me, the Downtown Association not hired, but had a jury choose from the
Well,
wide selection.
So far, we have three murals in town, and only one of them went through the proper process. The other two were just showed up.
I'm just shooting it out there.
Yeah.
It was very popular.
Actually, I'd rather get the trash cans cleaned up before we start eating things. So it's really, and it's something that the CCSD hasn't done in a long time. Maybe it hasn't been on the list of things to do, but they've not done it for a very, very long time. So, maybe it needs to be added, to the list of things to, only because it hasn't been done by them in so long. And they
It's on
are,
the list.
Huh?
It's on the list.
it is on the list. Oh, good. At least it's on the list. It's just on the bottom of the
It's
list.
just at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I'll keep bugging you about this and thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
do we have public comment? We don't have any public comment, people. Okay. So go ahead.
So are we moving forward now?
We are moving forward. And this is the discussion for future activities for the policy committee.
Okay.
The reason this is here is because we have these things that are happening around us that kind of get in the way of even setting an agenda for you all. And, Gordon, you're supposed to help me with setting the agenda.
I would if I was included in the agenda.
Well, anytime you want to give me things
Harry
that,
and I work quite closely together on this.
so why don't you,
I just
whenever
didn't
you,
know, you were the leader and I didn't
oh,
participate.
well, that is
So
your,
you took the,
that is part of your
opportunity.
job. Yeah,
that's what I wondered.
Yeah. I would love to have you
That's
give me
fine.
things that need to be put on the agenda.
Yep.
Set the agenda with me.
So you wanted to be a little more aggressive about it? I mean, contact you or do you need to contact?
No,
him?
he needs to contact me.
Yeah, he wants you, so
Yeah.
she wants you to be a little more proactive.
See, Harry always called me, so we,
Oh, he did?
yes, that's.
Well, I fell down on
No,
my
no,
job.
that's fine. I was
Okay.
waiting for guidance and direction here. I didn't wanna.
Yeah,
that
because
opportunity. No, that's fine.
I really want this committee to be able to feel like we're being productive. And I think sometimes we get shut down. And, I would rather, that we really look at what is it that we want to work on. So I was looking at the past agendas and minutes, and I have a list here, the social media policy, which is going to be part of the personnel policies that are being reviewed by this company. The internet and email policy is going to be part of those.
Same thing.
The same group, is reviewing that. The role of the general manager policy. I'm thinking we might want to go back and take a look at that. Now that we have a new, strategic plan, maybe we can take a look at that. So I was wondering if you think that that would be a good one to put on the agenda soon.
I've always liked to have an agenda. It's
Well-
been there for many times.
Well, and the reason that we took it, that we kind of suspended it for a while was because we were waiting for the strategic plan.
Right.
Okay,
So-
the other thing that I'm gonna do is when we bring that policy, either to the next meeting or the following meeting, I'll put a copy of the strategic plan in the board packet
Mhm.
so that you'll have the most updated one with
that'd be
the
good. Yeah.
mission, vision, and values.
That'd be great.
The CCSD owned vehicle policy, Mr. Green, did you say he was there?
Thank you.
Oh, there it is.
It's still a hot topic.
Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
Well, part 3, because we had part 1 and 2, and the board said it needs part 3, right?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Green is writing number 3 for us.
Okay. Jim and I are gonna work together on it. Yeah.
Oh, and the general manager too. So once we have that section 3, then we will bring it back here. So that probably will be soon.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have anything you want to add about the meetings that you've had,
Yeah.
related to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we're gonna bring before the board and before you eventually, is a policy about, water and wastewater folks that are on standby and continuing the practice of allowing them to take home district vehicles. And, we'll codify that in a resolution. And then, this is after a lengthy discussion with staff, and union members. And there's just a lot of concerns as it applies to morale, retention, recruitment. And it was a significant enough and robust enough discussion that we believe from the staff and as a general manager that, those will be the 2 individuals that will leave in the district and company vehicles for response time, or again, some other issues that we have in the district as far as recruiting and retaining staff. Of the 9 collection operators we have on staff, only 3 of them live in Cambria. We have to have 1 operator on standby for 9-day stretches. And we can't just isolate it to those 3 that live in Cambria.
Sure.
And so we'll draft that policy, bring it before you, which I'm sure will be a robust discussion. And then your recommendation will go before the board and the staff will have its position. And
Just let me add that, what you said was bring a resolution before the board.
Mhm.
And so that resolution then will be something that the board votes on. And then that can be, we can structure our policy around that resolution.
Okay.
Because it'll be in for perpetuity.
Well, I think your recommendation, based on our policy written, will go with the board.
Before the revolution.
Before
Before the
resolution.
resolution.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
the resolution won't be informing your policy as much as
Oh.
your
Okay,
comments on the policy, section 3 that we bring to you,
Yeah.
and if you make changes, we'll bring that before the board, and then what we want to do is create a resolution, because this has come up before.
Yeah.
And as the board changes, the topic will come up again, and at one point, this practice was stopped in a decade ago, 11 years ago, and it lasted only a few months before it was brought back. The practice was brought back, and so, we just don't want to keep bouncing back and forth on this, because it just continues to be a rolling topic.
Did I understand you're letting go of a used, F-150?
yeah,
So is that a vehicle that the district will want to replace?
Jim's online on this one. I don't think we're replacing that one. I think it's just one of the trucks that's finally hit the end of the
Hit the
road.
end.
Does Jim have?
I'm just asking, yeah,
Okay,
I think he's unmuted now.
that's,
Are you there?
I'm unmuted and I can speak to that. Yeah, so it's a 2005 F-150 with over, 125,000 miles on it. At the 18-year mark, California is now requiring you to retire that motor, either replace it or retire the vehicle in its complete existence. So we're starting the surplusing of some vehicles that will not meet those compliance regulations in the future. And so we're just kind of trying to stay a step ahead of that.
so you're just downsizing your fleet.
Yeah, I mean, we want a reduction in maintenance costs. We want a reduction in insurance
Sure.
for whatever nominal. So yeah,
Okay, well, I was just wondering if you were looking at replacing it, that's all.
and then as far as a lot of the community's concerns, as far as this vehicle policy, again, we've come a long way by eliminating 3 vehicles that used to go home that don't anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's all good, it's all good.
Did you discuss this with the union then? Is that correct?
We had a meet and confer. We have not met and conferred because there's no change in policy from the district side. We did have a closed session on the matter, which we talked to our legal team and the board in closed session.
That was the thing we were waiting for, is your input from the union. The last meeting.
There's union implications.
Right, you said you were gonna discuss it with the union and see what they thought.
If it were,
If it was to change.
And so if it's fine, you're saying the union's all for the way it is.
What's that?
So the union's the way, you all for the way it's set up now. That the vehicle's going home.
The two standby operators in the same practice,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wasn't too clear. You said you talked with them, but I didn't hear. if they were
I
in
talked to
agreement.
staff,
Right.
I talked to some union members. But as far as an official meet and confer with the union, that would only happen if we change the policy.
Like a formal
Mhm.
meeting?
Because if this policy went before the board directed staff to officially change the practice, then we immediately would have a meet confer with SEI.
My understanding from the previous comments was that there was no agreement about taking the vehicles home. It was a handshake agreement.
I think you're referring to management. That was a management thing.
I didn't define it either way. It was a handshake agreement. There was nothing mentioned about. There was an agreement by the union that they needed to take.
There's no
vehicles home.
agreement in the union contract, but as it applies to unions, there's what's called past practice. And if there's an established past practice. then
That's right. I'm
it's-
not saying I couldn't, but you were gonna discuss that is all I'm saying, that past practices I didn't agree with is a contract theoretically.
Say again.
You're saying it's put in there automatically, but I disagree with that. It's
Well, I'm
something
sure
that
you
should
do,
be-
but the lawyers don't. you
That's
know,
fine.
so-
That's what I'm asking you is, it's your opinion of doing that is different than what I'm saying, that because, you do something over and over doesn't necessarily mean it's correct.
Well, in
So
employment
that's fine.
law, it is.
No, that's fine. So you haven't talked to the union about doing that then. It's
He's
just
talked with
past practice.
he's talked with
Yeah.
representatives.
Yeah, that's fine.
one thing, I'm sorry, I jumped in. Go ahead. Oh, no.
Now, in terms of moving forward, one of the things we started with initially with this whole thing was to be going through the CSD manual
Yes,
and, going through it section by section
Yeah.
to update.
Yeah.
Update that. And I don't know, I mean, we have, a whole matrix of those
Yeah.
things. So the question is there some direction that's indicated by what we have done, what we need to continue to address? If there are sections, for example, that bubble to the top, maybe those are ones that would be, that we would want to put, in future agendas.
yes.
That seems to me, one way of going.
Well, I did. I went through this. That's where I kind of got what's here.
You got all this, yeah,
But,
this is certainly not representative.
no, but the-
Entire CSD.
but the problem with that, and that's why I'm waiting until this contractor produces the personnel policies.
Mhm.
Because then we won't touch those. We're gonna review them, we'll take a look at them,
Yeah,
we'll see if there are holes
Yeah.
that maybe we can add to.
Yeah.
But once we get that, then I can take it and I can compare it to what we have now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we can see where we wanna go with that.
And if there's anything else in the
Yeah.
CSD manual and sections or whatever that, you know, seem more relevant for us to take a bite out of,
When was the last time you looked at this list?
oh,
Cause you've gotten it more than once.
yeah, we got it in an agenda package, I think, a couple of months ago.
Okay, so do you still have it?
I can look it up. I'm
Okay.
sure. All
Um,
my emails.
So take a look at it. And if you find places, because this is exactly where I started to put this agenda item
If you
together.
have an updated one, if you forward it to me, I'd love it.
Can you send this to everybody in the committee? Okay.
Yeah, that would be really wonderful. Because I'm sure whatever I'd be looking at would be dated.
We're tr-
Reserve policy next.
Yes, reserve policy is, it was brought to the board at the last meeting and there were some questions about that we needed to add more to it, not us, but finance.
Yeah, finance working.
Finance is working on it, and so there will be some additions to that
Okay.
reserve policy, and
We'll
then
have to
it'll,
set that aside for now until they.
well, we probably won't have to do it, because the board is probably gonna approve it with the
Sure.
changes.
So the
But that'll
bottom
be-
line is we'll set it aside because we won't have to do it.
No, we won't have to do it. And then evacuation planning is happening everywhere,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
that, that's always a concern.
Yeah.
Purchasing policy, Denise, Ms. Fritz and Ms. Dodson, are working on that. Okay. Now, what we have here is the policies that we're actually working on right now that we just talked about. Climate change policy, legislative advocacy policy, legal counsel and auditor policy, CCSD owned policy,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're making good progress.
I really wanted to give you a snapshot of where we are, because sometimes it feels like we're spinning our wheels.
Yeah.
And we're not, but policy committee works a little differently than the other committees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
is there anything about this agenda item is there any more discussion?
No, if you'll forward that to me, that'd be great.
Okay. Haley's gonna forward it to everybody.
That would be terrific. Thanks.
And your
And
note
we're
on
supposed
the
to-
violence.
Always depend on, always depend on my buddy over there.
Didn't quite know what you wanted us to just bring it, just.
Yeah.
I'm sure it
I
is.
think somebody might have brought this as a question.
No, I think, didn't you put this in here about the California SB 553? Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna talk a little bit about that?
Say it one more time.
Do you want to talk about the
SB
workplace
553.
prevention, violence prevention plan?
You have to stop hitting people.
You know, but we get things done that way.
It's how you improve the morale.
Yeah.
Unless the
So-
morale improves, the beatings will continue.
Yeah, there's a new law that you have to have this workplace prevention, violence.
Prevention plan.
There you go. So we have a legal team drawn up. It's just basically a legal document. We have to assign some different roles within that document. We're working on that. And that will come up for the board in June. And so.
Can we see it in May?
Just for fun.
Just for fun?
I don't think it'll be ready.
I mean, we can get you
A draft or something?
a glimpse of it, right?
I don't know what the rules are before the union see it.
Oh.
But then it becomes a public.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So,
well, we'll wait till the board approves it and then we'll bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a legal template and we just have to, like, you
Yeah.
said, just
Yeah.
insert some roles.
And don't you have to do like, posters around and all that kind of stuff? Isn't that part of the law?
We have posters posted throughout the district. But this isn't on there just
Okay.
yet, because it's just implemented this year.
Okay,
So it'll probably be on the 2025 poster.
okay,
And they'll be in the same category as harassment, potentially.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, or that might be part of it.
An umbrella.
Yes,
Oh, and there was something, if I can backtrack just
Sure.
briefly, but I think we're actually kind of almost done.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to raise on the old vehicle issue, the on-call.
Yeah.
It might be helpful, I don't know, but there was this issue about why couldn't, and I know the answer, but it just maybe it needs to be brought forward. Why couldn't there be a pool of volunteers who could operate the special equipment if it was left in town and the on-call, you remember what it is, that has been brought up. And I think there are a lot of reasons why that can't happen.
Right.
yeah.
But I think maybe it needs to be explicitly brought forward as to why that can't happen.
Sure, I'm sure we'll have something to document that.
Yeah, that's what I was
The short, easy answer to that is liability and insurance.
Oh, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
not to
workers'
mention
comp,
special.
Class A licenses.
Right,
Tank endorsements, brake endorsement, all the stuff that you have to operate some of these larger trucks. And then, when you talk about the F-150s and things like that, there's specialized equipment on there. And again, it's probably a liability, it's a liability issue.
Yeah.
But we can add that to the staff.
Well, a person might be drawing the analogy to volunteer, we did have, or I don't think we now do, but volunteer firefighters.
We had, that's all
But
we
those
had.
go through special training.
Yeah, and the reason that we don't have them anymore is because of the changes in state law, to where they have to have the same training that your full-time firefighter in terms of hours behind the wheel,
Mother
the
mercy.
saw, and for those that are volunteer firemen, they can't.
Yeah.
Unless
Mother
they're young and
mercy.
dedicate themselves to a volunteer organization and basically work full-time and do full-time training. That's why a lot of our volunteer programs have failed across the state of California.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to mention.
Sure, absolutely.
no, that's okay. Okay,
Cool.
all right, so
This is-
any other, discussion about 4C? No?
We're supposed to get back with you with comments, so quite sure you're sending us the list to review that you have
No,
there.
just bring it to the next meeting,
Yeah.
The next meeting to
Yeah.
discuss.
yeah,
Okay. well,
or you can email
I can
me,
look at
and,
it.
cause you're the
That's fine, that's what I
vice
was asking.
person,
No, that's why I was trying to see what your
yes,
needs were there.
Make
Yeah.
a choice, agendize some stuff.
there you go.
You're good at that.
There you
No,
go.
There's usually pretty hot topics as a problem.
That's okay,
You know what?
it makes it fun.
You know what? If there are hot topics, they're hot topics, and let's address them, for
Yeah.
God's sake.
Yeah,
That's what we're here to do.
is there any public comment on, agenda item 4C? Nope, no hands. Okay, let's go to future agenda items then. I think we have a pretty good list.
Yeah.
So the general manager, so we'll put in the strategic plan
Mm.
in the packet. The next thing is going to be the list of the policies, right? So maybe we need to look at how do we move forward based on this. Pardon?
Priorities of some sort.
Yes, priorities.
Mhm.
The CCSD owned vehicle policy, if I have that from
Take that.
Jim and I will run
the GM, yeah,
Yeah, well, sure, to be able
So
to
this-
button that up next time, I would think.
yeah, this is,
Cool.
okay. And we'll wait with the climate change,
Until they have
Hopefully-
their plan,
Mhm.
yeah,
and then we can button that up.
yep.
Mhm.
Okay, the legal counsel and auditor policy is going to the board on the 9th. And I would love it if any of you would like to attend and speak to
On what?
this.
On
On the
what?
9th,
No, on what subject?
legal counsel and auditor policy, because those of you who voted against it really need to come and speak to the board
Sure.
about it.
Yeah.
Just we'll leave it up to Deborah.
No,
Absolutely.
well, it's on a consent agenda, and if you show up, I'll pull it off.
Yeah.
And you can speak to the board, otherwise it's just gonna,
And what date is that?
the 9th.
May 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be out of town.
Well,
Oh, Well, you can
You can
always,
send your comments.
or you can listen in.
Or
Yeah.
I've come to, I don't know how many meetings
In a plane.
I've talked to via Zoom. It's been
Well, or you could,
huge plus.
send in your comments in written
Written
form and Haley will, read them out loud.
Yeah, she just reads them.
Yep,
Yeah, cool.
okay,
Yeah, the Zoom format has
Yeah.
saved my bacon. I don't know how many times.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've been clear out of the state, you know, and.
So no excuse for me if I'm out of state.
Nope. Okay,
I'm gonna be traveling, I'm just like not,
Yeah.
not convenient.
well, just do a written one if you can. That'd be great.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Any, public comment about future agenda items? Nope. All right, so let's adjourn. It is 4:36 PM. Thank you all so much.